Welcome back, Knights. What are we doing? Are we talking about Roid, or Roid, as I like to call him, just like it says in the title, or are we going to fight Kugo, the boss of Mount Sis, the awakened fire golem? Why are we fighting Kugo without Roid, who this video is supposed to be about? Are you being trolled? No, you're not being trolled. We are just farming for some fatal runes. Like I've said a time or two, you can farm the bosses of the stages for higher quality runes than you get from the individual level scenarios, 1 through 6. The runes are random, so you don't get to choose which slot they go in, and you don't even know if you can get one. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? An attack rune, 2 stars with attack percent. It's I don't know. It's garbage. I'm getting excited because of the substats, but it's a 2-star rune. You can sell those all day. They're not hard to get again, but you'll get 3 stars and 4 stars and eventually 5 and 6-star runes. And 2-star runes are nothing more than a joke. So, we are talking about Roid finally. Here's the one. And what have we got? We've got all energy runes. Why do we have all energy runes? Well, first of all, as I talked about in episode 1, it's best to find what type of monster you're rooting, and this is an HP monster, and make them better at what kind of monster they are. So, HP. Why did we choose all energy runes? Well, 2 energy runes gives us a buff on our hit points of 15%. 6 runes gives us a total of 45%. 45% buff of his HP just from the energy runes before we even get into the stats and the substats. We'll go through them and you'll see that our monster is super high on HP. And again, not only did we rune Roid for HP because he's an HP monster, we look at his skills. We always look at skills when we rune monsters. And his first attack, Slash Rocks, I just want to show, inflicting damage proportionate to your max HP. So the more hit points you have, the more damage this monster does with his main attack, not attack. Attack will apply to his second skill, where it doesn't say otherwise, so it just naturally goes back to your default attack skill. We use our main attack way more than we use our second attack, so I'm going to go with HP. Additionally, when you awaken Roid, or if you awaken Roid, his third skill, also if you read there, I gotta hold it, here we are. If you read there, the damage is proportionate to your max HP, so first and third skills being based off HP, not attack. That's why you rune Roid with HP. Now let's go through the runes I've selected so you can see how how you can use HP runes and what to put on them. So first rune, just a 2-star rune, but I got HP substat when I +3 this. It's one of the first runes I had in the game, so it stayed on him. So your substats, remember, on slot 1, 3, and 5 of your runes are more important than slots 2, 4, and 6, where on those runes, your main stat is your focus. So any substats for HP, good for this monster. So I went with that. This will be replaced with 3 or 4-star runes soon, hopefully. Slot 2, I went with HP. Now here's a learning moment, hopefully at least one in this video. Flat stat, I only went with that because I didn't have a percent rune, right? And it's working out because Roid, or all your monsters when they're low level, like 2 stars, even early 3 stars, the HP percent and the flat stat runes kind of are fairly equal, you know, to a point. Some of you guys are probably math nuts and you're going through and you're doing the percentages and you're saying, well, these percent runes aren't as good as the flat stat runes. Sometimes on super low level monsters, but it takes no time. If you guys started watching this this video series on day 1 and you've played every day a little bit, your monsters are probably already stronger than mine. I'm just doing this account on the side of my main account to do some tutorials, so these monsters aren't staying weak for long enough to justify using flat stat runes. That's why we don't usually use them, but like I said, it's all I had, so I wanted to complete the set with HP on slot 2. Should go for an HP percent rune, but look at this again, substats, HP percent. Good choice for your HP monsters like Roid, the Wind Vagabond. Slot 3, again, slot 1, 3, and 5. Substats are more important. It's always going to be defense flat. But I got 6% HP on that, so it was a great rune choice for Roid. I got this rune with all the substats. You see there's 3, which is more than normal for the white and green colored runes. I got it by farming the boss, like we were doing at the start of the video. Not the same boss, but the boss of Garen Forest. Farming the bosses gets you better runes. But again, more HP. That's why his HP is over doubled from our info there, info tab. So, slot 4, HP percent. Surprise, right? You could also do this, and I wouldn't do it right away, but a little bit later, you could use a, not defense, but crit damage. Now again, this is only 2 stars. I'm not even going to use it. I just grabbed it to show you what you'd want, or to later put on him when his HP is getting quite high. And you also want to keep in mind that this crit rate, like it's a different rune, but Roid's crit rate should be fairly high. 21 is super low. You'd want something, you know, a minimum of 35% minimum before you chose a crit damage rune on slot 4. And if you did that, though, when he did critical hit with his hit attack being based on his hit points, and you had hit point HP percent rune in slot 6 and slot 2, you would have massive critical hits compared to normal. You would do amazing damage. But I don't have the Roid strong enough for that to be effective yet, nor do I have his crit rate high enough, and those have to be together before a crit damage rune is appropriate. What else, guys? Slot 5, 1-star rune. Gross. Ew. But I think it didn't matter because it's always going to be HP. Clearly, I'm not getting any 5-star energy runes. We can go get some anytime we want from level 5 of Garen Forest, the first level. We'll do that later, not today. But the point is, here's slot 5. Maisie is a good one for you to find that crit rate substat, and if you had a good crit rate on that and get his crit rate up to 35% with this one alone, which you could do if you get a super great rune with a high crit rate, that'd be a good choice for him. And a good choice with a crit damage rune, as long as you have crit rate and crit damage. Having a ton of crit damage with a very low crit rate is kind of a waste, because you're not going to get that hit often enough for it to make it worthwhile. So stick with HP percent for the first while until you get crit rate substats, until Roid's a lot stronger. And lastly, slot 6, which you might have gotten a little look at, HP percent. And 2-star, not good enough, but again, this is just to show you the type of runes you're looking for. And it was cool that I got a little speed on him because he is a bit slower. If you remember when we talked about Seek in episode 2, Seek had 108 speed, I think, or maybe 109. And I told you 100 speed is average for monsters. And Roid is at 97 base speed. He's a little slower than average. But him being a big tank for HP, an HP type monster, that's kind of how they balance it. He can take more hits and they make him slower so he can't get hit, whatever, and then keep attacking just as fast. You could put speed on him. I wouldn't. But you could if you wanted to see him hit more, but he would be so much less effective. Yeah, so that's how we've got him runed. Let's do something real quick here. So I want to show you guys something. So I've got some monsters now, and if you've been playing for a few days, you've got some too that are max level at 2 stars or max level at 3 stars, like my water fairy here. So you'll notice every star that they get, 2 to 3 to 4, every new star they get another new max level of 5 more levels. But I want to show you something cool. So we've got 2 skills, both at level 1. You see the level 1. How do we increase that? Well, there's 2 ways to do that. One is to feed the same type of monster to that monster in the upgrade circle, or the, well, let's go look at it. Here it is, the power-up pad. So we want to make our max level 2-star Roid into a 3-star. So we simply need just like it shows us here. Sorry for the delay. 2-star monsters, and the number of stars you need is there, and it's always going to be the same as the stars that he is. So I happened to get from Unknown Scrolls when I was looking for the elusive Konamiya and other good 2 stars that I haven't got any that I want. I got a couple of Vagabonds. And what is this going to do? Well, I'm going to sacrifice 2-star monsters. They're both Vagabonds. One's wind, one's water. And because they're Vagabonds, those skills that are at level 1 are going to go up to... well, they're just going to go up. I'm going to get 2 random increases in those levels. It might both go on skill 1. They might both go on skill 2. I might split and get 1 on each skill. It's very random, so I have more than enough mana to evolve this monster to a 3-star monster. The material monsters are sacrificed, guys, so just keep that in mind. Go through the animation, and boom, Roid is now a 3-star monster. And wait for it, skill level increase, level 2, slash rocks, and just click, and level 3. So they both went into slash rocks, which is fine. When we awaken him, we'll get access to the 3rd skill, and the awakening, sorry, not the awakening, but if you give him more Vagabonds, you feed them to him, his skills will go up until they get maxed out, and then at which point they just won't do, the sacrifices will just count towards XP. So let's look at him now that he's a 3-star monster. Okay, so what did we have? We had 2,040, I think, hit points before, and that's gone down because he's a level 1 now. But that, you get that back really quick. You get it back quick. You really do. And so, I'll show you how fast that comes. So, what do we got? We got that crappy 5-star rune. Slot 5 rune. Oh, 5-star rune. So, let's go see if we can get a slot 5 rune. So, let's get rid of Megan, and we'll grab Roid. And... just to give him some more experience, I will take out one of my monsters and grab one of my friend's monsters, so that the experience gain will be split between 3 instead of all 4. So I'll get about 33% more HP. Or, sorry, 33% of the total HP versus 25%. So I get about 8% more. So, this shouldn't take too long, and this team should win. Hey, coffee! So again, the monsters in here, the only one that has runes, well, I guess my friend's monster has rune. And if you guys saw the previous episode, the water fairy has runes. Roid has runes that we just saw. The level 20 Inugami water type doesn't have any runes still. So, and he's still able to defense break, like Roid can. He can still do a decent amount of damage, and I'm waiting to get some good fatal runes to put on him, and probably some blade runes too. The water Inugami is a good all-rounder monster. I think it's a defense type, but it's a good support monster for defense breaks. It's a good attacker, you know, not super good, but it does a decent amount of damage. But his skill brings out another one of your monsters. He's a good monster for early game. There are better Inugamis later, but maybe we'll talk about that another day. So we didn't even get a rune. Anyways, you got to see that he's still level 1 out of 3-star. He still survived. He's still useful. And I didn't look, but he should be more than level 1 now. Yeah, he's level 2. And if you have high-level friends, which you can get, and then they can solo with their monster, and you can give all the experience to your one monster, they really level up fast. But it's not going to take us any time, guys, to get him back to that 2,000 base HP, and then lots more. And we'll keep searching for better runes for him. How else, though, can we rune Roid if you don't want to use all energy runes? Well, if you want to keep him and you really like this monster, there's lots of ways to rune Roid. So later in the game, HP monsters can benefit a little bit from a little bit boost from defense, right? Because just having all that hit points doesn't matter much if they have high attackers, nukers they call them, and they can just eat that up. You need to slow them down. And the way to do that is guard runes. And it, again, doesn't show here, but 2 guard runes will give you a defense buff of 15% versus energy runes that give you a hit point buff of 15%. Now, if you found 2 guard runes that had HP percent, or good substats, a guard rune with HP and accuracy would be good for Roid substats, then you could use 2 guard runes and 4 energy, and you'd get 30% buff from your HP and a little bit of buff from your guard runes, and that would be okay. What else? You could do Swift. I would think it would be better to save your Swift runes for other monsters like Megan, like your Epicon Priests if you get any, even your Fire Hellhound or your Water Inugami, even your Water Fairy, your healer, can benefit from speed runes on Swift. You could do Rage, like a Rage Blade, if you wanted to do HP on 2, crit damage on 4, and HP on 6. His critical hit chance would be higher from the Blade runes by, I think, 12%, and his crit damage would really hit hard. It'd probably be tricky for you to do that, but if it works out for you, everybody gets different stuff from the magic shop, etc. It'd be pretty interesting that way. Focus, you could, if you're really trying to get those defense breaks, and what I mean by that is on his first skill, his hit has a chance, 40% chance to defense break, so make your enemies weaker with that debuff. That's the red square with the white shield with the crack. And you could be really wanting that, in which case you could put focus runes for an accuracy buff. And accuracy helps with your debuffs on enemies, right? And so remember, so when we awakened him and used Vagabonds, we got those 2 skills. Now if you didn't use Vagabonds, you wouldn't get those 2 skills that went into Slash Rocks. Hey, it would just evolve him, and you wouldn't get the skill ups. Only giving Vagabonds to Vagabonds does that, or Inugamis to Inugamis, or Fairies to Fairies, or Devilmon. Now Devilmon was the second way I was telling you about, but I want to say right now, really important, do not use Devilmons on easy to get monsters or low level monsters. Like, use them, you could use them on your Magic Knight here. I would save them though, guys. It doesn't take very long before you start getting some cool 3 and 4 star monsters, and even 3 star monsters I would hesitate to use. I mean natural 3 star monsters to use Devilmon on. You really want to save those for your 4 star monsters and any 5 star monsters for the very lucky select few of the new players that you get. Save those Devilmon, and we'll talk about Devilmon in another episode down the line. But I just want to say now, while it's early, don't use your Devilmon on your Vagabond or any of the monsters you get at the start of the game. Just don't do it, like I said. Anyways, so going back to Roid and his rune selection, it'd be really cool if you could get some... Where are they? Are they not showing up? I wanted to say Revenge runes. Here they are. Now Revenge runes, what do? They counterattack. That means if you get attacked with 2 runes, it doesn't show up here, 2 runes, you get a counterattack of 50%. So just 2 runes of Revenge on him, you could attack back automatically without it costing you your attack bar. And what does his first skill do? It defense breaks. And any monster's first skill that defense breaks, it's great to put Revenge runes on them. Now you're probably not going to get Revenge runes as a new player, but you might get a couple from the Wheel of Wishes if you're super lucky. One might show up in the the magic shop, and then having a couple on those on your Wind Vagabond would be cool. And even more extreme, because it's a 4 set, is the Violent runes. And what do Violent runes do? 4 runes can give you an extra turn randomly with 22%. Now that 22% is not going to feel like that for sure, and especially if you're fighting in the arena, it seems like the other team on arena defense always gets more turns with Violent runes. But if you ever see an enemy monster get 2 turns in a row, you're like, how did they do that? That's how. They have Violent runes. More often than not. Some monsters have it built in, like the Fire Inugami and the Water Occult Girl. But anyways, that would be advanced, guys, and I just kind of wanted to show you that because it's about monsters like Roid with first skill debuff, right? So revenge and violent, always getting that hit in, right? And focus could work, but I would only use focus runes if you had a really high good one with HP percent. So other than that, guys, I mean, there's other ways to do it too. There's like vampire you could do. Again, I wouldn't, because he's kind of slower. So, and he doesn't have any natural life drain. And vampire runes, speaking of life drain, 4 vampire runes gives you life drain plus 35%. That's cool for your fire hellhound or any of your other hellhounds, wind or water. It's also pretty cool for your vampires. But it wouldn't really be a typical build for an HP monster like Roid, who's slower and you know, doesn't necessarily lose hit points as fast as other monsters. That, I think, is going to cover it, though. So again, I showed you how the type of runes you're looking for. I didn't show you the best runes, especially slot 5. Gross. Just don't have nightmares. Just don't. But yeah, that's Roid, guys. It's actually a useful monster in arena defense when you're just starting out. A lot of people get rid of him, but maybe don't jump the gun. Try him out. Give him a fair chance. And go from there. Next episode, guys, will be the Light Garuda, Tion. Everybody gets him if you fighting greedy. If you get to fight in the arena there, and then you beat the NPC monster, then when you beat him, they give you the Light Garuda, and he's really cool. He's got some quirks about him, and you got to hold on to him for a bit until you get to the Kairos dungeon and awaken him and really make him shine. But that's episode 5, right? So stay tuned, guys. Have some fun. Keep playing Summoner's War. I love it. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. Keep your eyes open as well for the top 10 2-star monster list, because as a new player, you get tons of these unknown scrolls, right? Tons of them. And then you get all this stuff, and you don't know if it's good or not. And I will show you guys. We're going to unload a few here, but I have been looking for a couple. But you'll have to wait for that video to come out to see which 10 are my favorite, my most recommended. And there's more, but that's going to be my opinion. There's a cool one right there. Water Imp. Very good for bosses and dungeons. We'll go over him maybe one day. But that's going to be it for now. Keep the shields up, Knights. See you next time. Hey, Knights. Want to hear a joke? What do you get when your warbear has no teeth? You get a gummy warbear. Get it? Gummy bear? Gummy warbear? You'll laugh tomorrow. Welcome back, Knights. It is Battle Beast with Carbon Knights. We have episode 3 of the Beginner's Guide. We are looking at, today, the Water Fairy. The Water Fairy is, of course, the second monster that you get when you start the game. She's got some cool skills, a couple of them when you start, but let's look at her awakened form, just so you get an idea of what she may become. We're not at the point of farming essences yet from the Kairos dungeon. That comes a little later, but it's always good to look down the road a bit in the game. So, when you awaken her, she becomes Elucia or Elucia, whatever. You can do your own pronunciation. I won't judge you. Maybe a little bit. But let's look at her skills. So, first skill, attacks the enemy with a whirling storm of water, freezes the enemy with 1 turn.